I am Joshua Okemwa, a lecturer by profession, and I'm privileged to attend this meeting this week, and we are discussing this book, Revolutionary Preaching in the Secular World, by Dr. Paul Charles. So I will be presenting chapter number 5, Discerning the Messages. In this chapter, we learn that people are different. People are not the same, and people have different learning styles. As a preacher, most of the time, we tend to make the listeners go with our learning styles. This should not be the case, but we should be able to understand our listeners and go with their learning styles. The other thing is that most people take the Bible as a manual. Bible as a manual. And a manual is instructions, basically instructions that guide people in their lives. There are there are two ways in which we go when it comes to these manuals. There are two different ways that we handle this manual.
So the previous speaker said,
yes,
remember this, the previous speaker said our words and our gestures must correspond. So he is saying there are two different ways in order to interact with this manual. Can you see his hand? Okay? It would be nice if he says there are two different ways in order to interact with this manual. Can you see that? No, I'm showing you how to implement what you are learning immediately. You get it?
Yes.
Right? So when you are preaching, it's not like giving a lecturer, even though you're a qualified lecturer. Okay? Yes. Because when you are preaching, your gestures must be in line with what you are saying.
Yes.
So there are two ways in which we can, what?
In which we handle this manual.
Which
in
is
terms
the
of our
Bible.
life. Yes, yes.
Okay.
In terms of our application in our
Okay,
life.
tell it to us again now. There are two ways.
There are two ways in which we handle this manual when we want to apply it in our lives, based on the listeners. One of them is through reflection, and others.
Let's say it again. But now you have the Bible in your hand.
Okay.
Watch the impact, okay? Watch the impact.
There are two ways in which
go slowly.
Yes, yes.
Because you're going to describe two ways.
Yes, yes.
There are two ways. Not one, but two ways. Can you see I'm explaining? Yes. There's two ways for us to explain the Bible. Yes. Not one, but two ways to explain the Bible. Go ahead, tell us again.
There are two ways. Yes, yes.
Don't show the Bible because the Bible is next, isn't it?
Yeah.
Go for it.
Okay. There are two ways in which we can explain.
All the two.
Yes.
So because the emphasis is on two.
Yes, yes.
Go for
two
it.
ways.
No, start again.
Okay. There are two ways.
Again, see, you did that. Watch me. Okay. There are two ways in which for us to explain the Bible. You can see how long you're watching two. So in your mind, you can see two already through your eyes. Tell us again.
There are two ways in which we can understand the Bible. One way is by studying the Bible systematically. You study the Bible systematically as a manual. The second way is by dipping into the Bible in and out as need arises. The third option is discerning the messages of the Bible. And there are two approaches. In discerning the messages in the Bible. One approach is deduction, and the other one is induction. The first approach is deduction. The second approach is induction. The first approach, deduction. In deduction, we move from the Bible to the listener. This one is based on a reflective approach. The other one, the second one, is induction, where you move from the listener to the Bible.
Oh, wait. Your point is awesome. You said induction, huh?
Yes.
No, which one you start from the Bible?
Deduction.
Deduction is when you move from the Bible to the listener. So, you said watch me. You said deduction is where you move from the Bible to the people. And then you said induction is where you move from the people to the Bible. But your hand is showing away from the Bible. You see, you need to be aware of it. So let's have that point again about there's two ways and do it right now.
Okay. There are two ways to discern the Bible messages. The first one is deduction. The second one is induction. The first one, deduction. Deduction is when you move from the Bible to the listener. The second one is induction, when you move from the listener to the Bible. Thank you very much.
I think you did very well, isn't it? Right? Did you see the difference it makes?
Yeah.
It makes a big difference, isn't it? And even when he's saying there are two ways, he's saying there are two ways. He said it twice, emphasizing there are two ways. So, which means he's a very quick learner. You get that? And your whole style has changed in just 2 minutes, simply by applying what we learned. And what we learned is not from your chapter, was from whose chapter? From your chapter. Or no, not from your chapter. We learned that and we are applying it. And let me tell you, you have changed. Today I can tell you, you are one of the preachers who has transformed his way of preaching.
Thank you.
Yeah, simply because you applied what you are learning. Remember, the power in knowledge is not in the knowledge, it's in the application. So when you are learning how to preach and then you apply it, people must see a change. Now we saw a different person, isn't it? And then he started applying it everywhere. Right? And it was awesome. Well done.
Thank you.
Well done.